Hi everyone, my name is Beverley Allen and I'm one of the 5 business and reception managers across the CLCH. I currently work at Parsons Green looking after the walk-in centre. So I have a very small team of receptionists. But one of the business side of the jobs that I have to do is the invoicing at the beginning of each month. So with the invoicing, it means that I have to look at the data that the staff has entered and see how many patients have been entered correctly or who hasn't been entered correctly. If mistakes are made, say like if we get an incorrect date of birth or incorrect spelling of the patient's name, we lose income because the patient's NHS numbers don't come up, because we're one of the sites that generate income into the trust. So it's important that all staff are trained in order for them to enter the correct data onto a system. At the moment, with my site, the figures are not that bad. So I don't have to, if they do make mistakes, what I have to say to the staff is that they have to correct it, and then I'll let them know what the importance of entering the correct data is. I also look at the present time. I'm also looking after St Charles. So the staff in St Charles and Soho, because they're inner London, if they need further training, then they're coming over to my site, because out of the 5 sites, Parsons Green is the most quiet, is because of the amount of other clinics we've got in the trust and in our building. So when the staff are coming over for training, I've got a checklist that everyone has to go through, and I watch them how they're booking a patient, and if they've got any questions, then they will ask me, what's going on or what do I have to do this, or they'll probably say they haven't been trained, because some of the staff that come in, they only get like a 2-minute training and then they sort of like checked into the job really. So that's why, because we want to improve the service that we're giving, that's why they're going to come over and sort of like be trained at my site and everything. The staff will come over for a few sessions, and then once they've had their training, then they can go back to their sites and feel more comfortable with what they're doing. One of the things we have to do as well is that we have to, if a patient comes in and they're from like America or and they haven't been in the country for over a year, then there's an overseas charge. So we have to charge them like £75. And also the other patients that we charge are patients that are coming from Europe. If they haven't got their European card, then we have to charge them as well. If they do have a European card, then we have to take both the English address and the European address for the patient, because it's the European countries that's going to pay us for the treatment that the patient has had when they've come to the walk-in centre. Another thing we have to do as well, the patients that come from, say for instance, I work at Parsons Green, so anyone that comes into the area from outside Hammersmith and Fulham, the CCGs have to be charged. So that's going to be the clinical commissioning group. So they charge for each patient that comes in from outside the borough. So that's why it's important that we get the correct data for each patient. Otherwise, as I said, we're going to be losing income. I also have to work closely with the other inner and outer London Band 5s. So we always come together once a month to see what improvements we can provide for the service and what we can do to help each other. So as I said, because of some of the things that's happening, I'm covering 2 sites at the moment, but it's quite interesting, it's quite rewarding. It can be challenging because obviously all the staff train at different paces and everything like that. So, but as I said, it's good for me. It's given me a little bit more confidence than what I used to have, because I haven't really got that much. We also, another thing that we have to do as well when we look at the data is what sites are providing the better, what staff are good at entering details and who are not. And one of the weaker sites is a couple of the sites in inner London, because one of the sites, especially because they don't use attendance forms where most of the other sites do, sometimes it's difficult to understand what the patient is saying, or if there's a lot of noise in the background, then they'll just take down whatever information they want, and that's how we get mistakes as well. But that's something that we're trying to work towards, that all the sites are sort of like working from the same hymn sheet. But that's easier said than done, but that's what we're trying to do. Now I'm quite confident working with my manager because my manager is quite supportive. So we're quite confident that we're going to get all the sites on board to do all the same thing and everything like that. But it's just a learning curve. But and it's quite a new role as well. So I've only been doing it for 11 months. So it's still a learning curve for myself. Because as I said, I'm used to managing people, but it's just the business side of things. It's still a learning curve for me. So it's me doing my little bit of knowledge to help the junior staff in my team. Has anyone got any questions?
No. For the overseas patients, that there's a charge of £75.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if somebody turns up and they haven't got the money? What would you do?
Well, what we'll do, because we got what we're trying to do at most sites, we've got triage nurses. So if we can book them in to see a triage nurse, and then it's up to the triage nurse to say whether or not the patient pays for the treatment or not. Otherwise, they would send them on to like the hospital or something, to an A&E department, because most A&Es, they don't charge their patients. Hi.
Do other walk-in centres charge?
All the walk-in centres charge. Yeah.
Overseas, but for like...
Yeah, they're all, you know, if the patients are from out of area or if they're from overseas, then we do charge. So as I said, each patient that comes from out of the area, the clinical commissioners will have to pay for their treatment. So some doctors don't like that because we're using it. But a lot of patients are using the walk-in centres now because it's so difficult to get GP appointments.
Is my understanding correct? What you just said, that A&E, they don't charge for anything? So
If it's an emergency, and they go to A&E, patients are not charged for their treatment.
So if someone, is it correct to say if someone wants to skip payment, they just simply, can they do? You know,
They can go to an A&E department.
Because there is lots of A&E. Can this be one of the reasons that there is a pressure on A&E?
That's why there's a pressure, yeah.
Was it mentioned with the decision maker, this corner that you just explained, that people can skip it, bypass it and go to A&E? Does they know policymakers?
Well, the policy, there's also a lot of talk about how they're going to run the A&E and everything, and but I mean, nowadays there are a lot more people using the centres, because when you go to A&E, you have to wait for 4 or 5 hours. Mm-hmm. If you come to a walk-in centre, you're not waiting that long, so some people do choose.
But to avoid the payment,
Mm-hmm.
can it be something that is happening to avoid the payment that people go to A&E?
That's what some of them will do, yeah.
Yes, or
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, as I said, I don't think it's everywhere that charges. I mean, but that's why there's so much pressure on A&Es, because not a lot of them do not charge, and that's why we have to make our money.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.